and welcome to the University of Toronto Summer Academy podcast series. My name is Ranji, and I'm your host. This morning, we have students from the Global Citizenship program, and they'll be talking about food insecurity. Before we begin our conversation, can we just ask everyone to introduce themselves? Can you tell us your name and where you're from?
Hello, my name is Allie and I'm from South Korea.
Hello, I'm Taishi and I am from Japan.
Hello, my name is Sanghoo and I'm from South Korea.
Hello, I'm Jen and I'm from Thailand.
Thank you and welcome to the studio. First question for you would be, which country did you select for your study on food insecurity?
We choose Thailand because even though it's known around the world for its amazing food culture and strong agriculture industry, a lot of people there are still struggling with food insecurity, and that contrast really stood out to us. We wanted to understand what's going on behind the scene and raise awareness about an issue that's often overlooked. It's not just about how much food is produced, but also about economic challenges like income inequality and rural poverty and social issues like limited access to education and healthcare.
Can you give us some background information about Thailand?
Thailand is a Southeast Asian country with a population of about 71.6 million as of 2025. It is the 50th largest country in the world by area and ranks 22nd in terms of population. Roughly 54% of them live in urban areas while the rest live in rural regions, and is considered an upper middle income economy with a GDP of around 515 billion USD. Moreover, Thailand has a mixed economy. Of course, their key industry includes services and industry, but agriculture still plays an important role, especially for rural employment. In addition, politically, Thailand is a constitutional monarchy with the king as the head of state and the prime minister at the head of government. According to the Global Hunger Index (GHI) 2024, Thailand ranked 52 out of 127 countries with a score of 10.1, placing it in the moderate hunger category. And GHA scores are based on the values of four component indicators: undernourishment, child stunting, child wasting, and child mortality. In the case of Thailand, undernourishment and child mortality was low and very low respectively, but child stunting and child wasting were recorded medium. However, even though Thailand's overall GHA score is considered average, a significant portion of the population still struggles with food access, especially in rural and low-income communities. One of the most concerning statistics is that 12.4% of children under 5 suffer from stunted growth, which can affect not only their health but also their ability to learn and succeed later in life. Now that we have a clearer picture of the background, let's take a closer look to the cause of food insecurity in Thailand. Now I'm passing mic to Taishi. Could you talk about the first cause?
Thank you, Ali. Firstly, in Thailand, the issue of food insecurity is a complex challenge that affects millions despite the nation's status as a major food exporter. At its core, the main problem is poverty, which directly results in a lack of financial stability for many households. Without consistent income or saving, families struggles during time of economic fluctuation. Unemployment worsens the situation as losing a job means a family suddenly has much less money to buy basic food. If you don't have enough money for food, you can't provide your children with proper nutrition. One big reason why poverty is still common in some places is the money, and chances are not shared fairly. In many villages, people mostly work in farming, but these jobs don't pay much. Also, they often can't get a good education or health care, which makes it hard to escape poverty. As more people move to cities, the gap between city and village life grows and it becomes even harder for rural families to find better jobs and service. Sanghoo is leading the effect.
Thank you for explaining that, Taishi. Poverty really isn't the root of this issue. When people don't have stable income or saving, it becomes almost impossible to handle unexpected changes, especially in something as basic as food. That's why one of the most serious effects we see is malnutrition, especially in children and elderly and low-income families who are most vulnerable. According to the World Bank, over 6.2 million people in Thailand, which is nearly 9% of entire population, are getting enough proper nutrition. And isn't just about feeling hunger. It causes real long-term damages. Children may suffer from strong growth, and adults can experience weak immune system. So yeah, when poverty and unemployment hit, they lead straight to poor nutrition and long-term health consequences. I would like to ask to Jan about the solution.
Thanks for covering that part, Sanghoo. Now I'll be taking you guys to the last part, which is the solution. As we all know that this is not a problem that can be easily solved, therefore having governments or organizations who can address this issue by using promising implementations could greatly help achieve the goals of improving food insecurity in Thailand. In fact, there are many great solutions presented out there. However, in this podcast, I would like to take you through three big solutions that made a real difference in Thailand. And let's start with the first one, advanced technology, also known as AI in farming. Because Thailand faces problems with their aging workforce with fewer young people being interested in working in agriculture, the government presented some new programs and technologies called the Biocircular Green BDG model, a national strategy that focuses on sustainable growth, increased productivity, and the use of technology in agriculture. But it's not just the government pushing this forward. Private startups are also stepping in too, and one good example is Recult. This farming app is very useful as it assists small farmers by giving them weather forecast, crop advice, satellite data, all in their phones. And by having this, farmers are able to boost their crop yield, save money, and reduce risk in losing some of their plants if not planned well. Its effectiveness can be shown through the number of users in Thailand, which is about approximately 400,000 farmers in Thailand who are using the Recult app, showing how AI can play an enormous role in part of improvements of food insecurity in Thailand. Apart from that, there's also Handy Sense Bee Farm, which is another smart tech program that allows farmers to monitor important factors that affect crops, such as soil moisture, sunlight, and temperature using sensors. This can positively impact the farmers who grow more crops with less waste, meaning that there will be more food going into local markets, which allows people to have a greater access to local food with lower prices from the market. Moreover, these kinds of AI also help them in growing crops during harsh seasons that allow them to earn more, which breaks the cycle of poverty and food insecurity at the source for both farmers and citizens. And now let's move on to our next cause.
Thank you, Jen. Secondly, as Sanghoo mentioned, the data reveals a serious reality. A 2022 World Bank study highlighted that 6.2 million people in Thailand, about 9% of the population, grapple with poor nutrition. This problem isn't just about the access to food. Many people also lack basic knowledge about nutrition, leading them to make unhealthy food choices even when food is available. Additionally, rising food prices in recent years have made it even harder for families to afford balanced and healthy meals. Without strong action to improve education, lower food costs, and support valuable communities, the problems of hunger and malnutrition will continue. On the other hand, Thailand has extreme weather events such as floods, and this is really common, which can destroy crops and reduce food supply, especially for rural farming families. They lose all the crops. Sanghoo is reading the effect.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Taishi. I think another big issue you mentioned is access to education and information. Even if food is physically available, many people just don't know what food are health or how to build their balanced diet. So they might still end up with unhealthy eating habit, which lead to malnutrition in different way. Then on the top of that, we are getting rising food price. In recent year, price have gone up a lot, and that's made it hard for family approve fresh vegetables, protein, or anything outside of cheap processed food. Poor people can only approve cheap calories, not real nutrition. And let's don't forget about the climate change. In rural area, extreme weather events like a flood and drought, which are become more frequent, destroy entire crops. In 2023 alone, over 1.5 million acres of farmland were affected. Small-scale farmers lost everything, income, food, and open hope. Some of these communities experience long-term food shortage that they are not ready to handle. I'd like to ask Jan about the second solution.
Thank you so much, Sanghoo. And next, I'll be talking about the second solution. And we have a community driven solution, which is food banks. Several communities in Thailand have adopted food banks to fight hunger while reducing the environmental consequences of food waste. In this case, we have Scholars of Sustenance Foundation, or SOS for short, which started in 2016. Their aims are to rescue surplus food from restaurants, hotels, and supermarkets and send it to orphanages, shelters, and low income communities. And according to the data, they have saved around 6.8 million kilograms of food and they have served close to 30 million meals across Thailand. Furthermore, they also run other programs that benefit and uplift the well being of people in society. By doing so, these food would not go into waste, as it is redirected to people in need in a fast, efficient, and impactful way. On top of that, SOS already has a proven track record that can be expanded in different communities in Thailand with government or business support. And next, we will have Taishi to talk about our last cause.
Thank you, Jen. Lastly, the COVID-19 pandemic made these problems even worse, exposing how weak and unprepared many systems and families were. A 2022 survey conducted by the National Statistical Office of Thailand clearly showed the pandemic's profound impact on households due to job losses. Many people, especially those in informal employment, suddenly lost their income and couldn't afford to feed themselves or their families. This period showed how quickly economic shock can lead to food shortage, even in countries like Thailand that grows much of their own food. Even though the government has a program to support low-income families, many people are left out or under-supported due to the process being complicated and not having basic service like schools and health centers. Sanghoo is leading the effect.
Thank you, Taishi. Right. And what made things worse is the COVID-19 pandemic. Like you said, it exposed how unprepared many families and systems really were. When the economy shut down, people in formal employment, like a market vendor and service worker, were the first to lose their job. And then you lose your income overnight. It became impossible to buy food, no matter how cheap it is. According to the 2022 survey from Thailand's National Statistical Office, there was a clear rise in food insecurity. Many households were skipping meals and eating less or serving whatever they could find. And even though the government has some support program, they often too complicate to access, especially for people in remote area who don't have a paper document or access to service. Without school, health center, or local office, these communities fall through these cracks and wrapped behind every crisis. I would like to ask the last solution to Chan.
Appreciate that, Sanghoo. And now we have come to our last solution, which is food waste management plan. It starts from phase 1, which runs from 2023 to 2027. Its goal is to bring food waste down to under 28% of all municipal waste by 2027. Currently, it's sitting at about 38%, according to a 2021 survey by the Pollution Control Department. Specifically, it focuses on reducing food waste right from the source by encouraging better planning, storage, and food prep at the household and business level. This plan's not just about cleaning up, it's about preventing waste before it even happens, which means encouraging better habits whether at home or in restaurants. Additionally, it also focuses on making better use of leftover food, like separating it properly and connecting food businesses with people or places that can still use it. And not just that, the government's also working on spreading awareness and improving how we track food waste so that the change actually lasts. To conclude our discussion, I will now pass it on to Allie.
Alright, that was our last solution. Thank you, Jen. So to conclude, food insecurity can be solved with appropriate approaches and the collaboration of people, both from the government and citizens. Although this will take time, implementation from the organizations around the world will definitely make a difference. With motivation and mindful use of technology, Thailand has the potential to overcome these challenges. Programs like cash subsidies, AI-driven agriculture, and community-based food banks are already showing positive results. By overcoming these challenges, Thailand can work toward a future where everyone has a reliable access to nutritious food while having lasting change that will help people in the world to achieve sustainable and efficient resources with less food waste. And this is our end of our podcast.
Thank you, everyone. It's been very interesting to learn about the causes, effects, and solutions of food insecurity in Thailand. Thank you for a very riveting discussion.
You've been listening to the ISA GCP podcast, a production by students in the Global Citizenship program of the International Summer Academy at New College, University of Toronto. If you're interested in being a student in this program, please visit us at internationalprograms.utoronto.ca.